Hello guys, you're watching JayzTwoCents, and we're back with a little bit of a tech bloggy thing that we're going to go ahead and do today, because if you're not aware, or you live under a rock or in a barn, which would be really interesting if you have the internet in those places, Apple unveiled their brand new iPhones today, which is kind of a milestone for them because it's the first time they've ever unveiled two new phones at the same time. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about that and whether or not these phones are right for you, how they stack up against some of the other Androids that are on the market, and whether or not you should just skip this generation altogether. Okay, so right off the bat, I don't want this to turn into an iPhone or Apple versus Android conversation. I truly don't, because I firmly believe that both phones offer something to the market that the other doesn't, or vice versa, and they definitely have their places in this market. My daily use phone is an iPhone 5. Here it is, right here. It's a white one, or I guess I call it white, but it's really more or less aluminum with some white glass on it. I do also carry a Galaxy S3 for work, and I do regularly keep my eyes on the Windows Phone and stuff that's going on with Windows 8 Phone and the some of the Nokia and some of the other manufacturers of phones out there. But with that said, I'm not a fanboy of either. I prefer iPhone because I like the simplicity of it. A lot of people like Android because they like the customability or customization abilities of the Android. So getting into this, don't turn this into a fanboy conversation, because that's not what this is about. And that being, what is it that Apple's bringing to the industry here in 2013? Because as you know, Apple only releases one phone or one generation of phone per year. Speaking of that, as I mentioned in the intro of this video, this is the first time that Apple has released two new phones at the same time, and those being the iPhone 5C and the iPhone 5S. Well, we already knew the iPhone 5S was going to be coming. We really kind of knew it was going to be called the 5S too, because it's just the nomenclature that Apple uses is definitely generational. It's always been a 4, 4S, 5 would be 5S, and you got 3, 3GS, so, or 3G, 3GS. They're not very creative on their names. Now, a lot of people believe that the iPhone 5C stands for color. A lot of other people believe that it's got one of those double meanings where it could mean color, but it could also mean cheap. Because what they're doing now is Apple used to take the old phone and they would just kind of slide it over on the chart and list it at 99 bucks or whatever for the 16 gig, and that's that. That's the cheap phone. But now what they're doing is they're discontinuing the iPhone 5 altogether. It's not even going to be available anymore. I didn't think it was anything a shock. I mean, most of this stuff was already leaked out in the internet. All we got today was confirmation that the rumors were true, that it is a plastic phone. Now, I am happy to hear that they have included a metal backing, a steel metal backing or plate glued to the backside of the plastic phone, which gives it more rigidity, so you don't have to worry about it creaking, cracking, or twisting in your hand, which isn't really a problem anymore because most of the screens are glass now, so that kind of gives it rigidity as well. But it also gives it maybe a little bit of weight to it, so it doesn't feel cheap, and it's not really diluting what they feel is, the Apple brand. That once they went to these metal constructed phones, they were worried about diluting the product by going plastic, but a lot of people want plastic. It's cheaper, it's more durable, you don't worry about denting it. I've dented the crap out of this phone before because I dropped it and I got it replaced, but it dented it on the top, and then the phone twisted, and it's just I could like put it on the table and it would rock because it was so bent from one drop. And here's the thing, you have a cell phone, you're gonna drop it. So plastic is a lot more bounce friendly, as they say, so I do kind of like that aspect of it. It basically has the same processor that's in the iPhone 5. It's the A6 processor. It's a little bit faster, and other than that, it doesn't really have much. Think of it as just a plastic iPhone 5. That's really all they did. There's nothing really incredible about it. For 99 bucks, if you're a new customer or you have an upgrade, in this market, if you don't have a lot of money, it's probably a very good upgrade path for you, or a new phone path. But when it comes to the iPhone 5S, there's a couple of incremental changes on there. It looks exactly like the iPhone 5, which we kind of expected, except they've added a new color, which they're calling champagne. It kind of looks like a very faded or pale color gold, which is not, I'm really disappointed with Apple in this aspect because this phone is aluminum. Since they went with an aluminum phone, it means they could have anodized this any color. They could have done blue, red, gold, yellow, green, purple, they've already got black and silver, yellow. They could have done any color because aluminum can be dyed or anodized through, or dyed through anodizing process so cheaply. And people were saying, oh, it's going to add to the manufacturing cost. Da, da, da. What you don't understand is to protect this aluminum, even the black and the clear, this is anodized. This is anodized aluminum. If you know anything about metalworking, you know that even the clear and the black are anodized. In fact, that's how you make it black. But even the clear is anodized. They could have given you some real options with color. But I think they felt if they did that, they'd be undermining the whole point of the 5C a little bit. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't go that route, especially since so many third-party manufacturers or companies that are now taking these clear cases and they're anodizing them where you can get the phone customized to a color of your own choice. People are already doing that, and it's obvious that people want that. Once again, Apple just didn't feel like going that route. For whatever reason, I don't know, whatever. Probably the biggest change on the phone, with the exception of the camera, because let's face it, every single generation is an incremental change to the camera. It's now got, I think they said 5 layers of glass. It's got a 2.8 aperture. It's supposed to be good with low light. It's got new camera functions built into it. Is the change of the home button. And now, instead of having a plastic home button, it is a glass sapphire crystal cover over the button that is on top of a fingerprint reader. So it's no longer a push button, I don't believe. I believe it's simply a sensor. And what that means is, you know, they say you don't have to slide to unlock it anymore. You can just touch it and it'll unlock because it'll read your fingerprint. Couple of things I don't like about that. One, it probably means that you've got to, sorry about that. It probably means that you have to have your finger like on it just right. Or when I unlock my phone, I tend to hold it like this. It'd be nice if you could see it. I kind of feel like an idiot now holding my phone like this. But when I push the home screen, how can I do this? There. I tend to just kind of push with the edge of my thumb, like the edge of my thumb. And I don't want to now have to be very, you know, flat-thumbed, if that makes any sense. A lot of people are like,
no, then now they're going to be able to read your fingerprints and the NSA, no. A lot of
conspiracy theorists out there. When I was tweeting this, I did say that, I mean, who knows what happens with that fingerprint reading? Is that a security risk in itself that's going to be reading your fingerprints? I don't have anything to worry about with my fingerprints. In fact, I'm already fingerprinted. I'm already in the system. I've been in the system for years because of some of the jobs that I've had, security clearance, getting on military bases. I'm in the system, people. Rusty Shackelford would be terrified if he was me. I am deep in the system. There's a lot of people out there that just don't like the idea of a fingerprint reader, because even if they don't set it up as security, every time you touch your phone, your finger touches that reader. So is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? It's up to you, really, and how paranoid you are with your government, depending on where you live. But when it comes to hardware, a little bit better camera. It's got the A7 processor in it, which is, they say, 2 times faster. It's also got the M7 processor in it, which is... it handles the gyroscope, accelerometer, GPS, and all that sort of stuff, so that it offloads those tasks off of the main processor, and it's like a secondary processor that handles all those tasks, which makes your phone more efficient, faster, and they claim it didn't hurt battery life at all for them to add this other processor in there. So that's kind of a cool thing. Cool thing about it being the same size and dimensions as the iPhone 5, it means all your cases and accessories are going to fit. Everything's going to be the same there. It's not like when you went from the 4 to the 5 or the 4S to the 5, you had to get all new accessories. So at least you have one more generation there. And when it comes to the rear camera, they did add another LED for brighter, more blinding photos in the dark in the movie theaters, and all those gabby girls taking photos and blinding the shit out of you. But really, the only thing that I think is exciting is the iOS 7 change, and the reason for that is because it's a whole new staff for iOS 7. I mean, if you guys remember last year, they cleaned house. I can't remember the guy's name, but he resigned from Apple. He was the guy that was in charge of iOS. A lot of people in Apple kind of felt that he might have been holding things back when it comes to iOS advancements. So he departed from the company, and now you've got other people running iOS. So we got iOS 7, which is supposed to bring 200 new features. Maybe good, maybe bad. I don't know. CNET took a poll today, and I think it said 80% or 81% of people polled felt that iOS 7 was a good change for Apple. Really what it is it's... I heard there was a really funny quote on CNET today where Apple was claiming that this whole operating system of iOS 7 is supposed to make them more Android-free, being more free of Android, like breaking itself apart. And the guy that was talking about this article was like, if you ask me, I see an awful lot of Android inside of iOS 7, because really what Apple's doing now is catching up to a lot of the software development changes that have taken place with the Google developers. And that's perfectly okay with me, because the farther Apple falls behind, the more people are going to play, Apple's going to play catch up. If they do catch up, it means Google's going to keep pushing ahead. And you need companies like Apple and Google to be competing for us consumers to have really cool choices and options in this market. Now that brings me to the last thing I want to talk about here is Android and Apple and which is right for you. If you're like me and you are a tech head and you work in a software development office and you are dealing with technical issues and IT and software updates and just constantly dealing with very complicated things, I like a phone that's very simple. I like a phone that I can just pick up, push one button. It's just basic. I don't have to worry about rearranging, widgets or setting things up and honestly, I don't want all that. And iPhone is perfect for me in that it's just icons. I can just open up Twitter, I can type, and off it goes. And I know Google and Android do all that too. But you guys have all said it yourself. There's a lot more to Android. And Android's a little bit more complicated than it comes to iPhone. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. For me personally, I just want the simplicity of the iDevice. Now, this isn't like Apple fanboyism, this isn't hipsterism or anything like that. In fact, a lot of people are shocked to find out that I prefer iPhone over Android just given my nature of customizing everything that I own. But my device, I just want to pick it up and go. I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to customize anything. I don't want to set anything up. I just want it to... If I could get a feature phone, a basic phone, like an old Nokia that would allow me to tweet and do the Facebook and email and all that, and still have a nice interface, I would probably ditch smartphones altogether because I'm just honestly getting tired of it. But if you like to customize the experience, if you want the phone to be tailored perfectly to you, and you want it to just be an extension of you down to the font that you use, definitely go with Android. There's a lot going for Android. It's definitely farther ahead than iOS and Apple when it comes to the software development. There's nothing wrong with what you choose. And I hate the Android versus iPhone fight because honestly, that's probably the most petty argument there is next to console versus PC. So here's the thing. Here's my recommendation to you. If you have an iPhone 5 like I do, it's a little bit sucky to think, well, the phone I have now is getting taken completely off the market. There's no reason to update though. The iPhone 5S, unless you want a fingerprint reader and a little better camera, skip it altogether. Don't even consider a 5C. It's a plastic version of what you already have. If you have an iPhone 4S or you have an iPhone 4 or you're coming to Apple from any other device, then the 5C or the 5S is your only option. Obviously go for the 5S if you can afford the extra $100. It's going to last you a little bit longer. If you're like me though, waiting for whatever's going to come out next year is the better option. I would like to see a little bit bigger screen though. Would like to see a 4.5-inch screen, maybe a little bit wider screen when it comes to the next model iPhone. So there it is, guys. That's my opinion when it comes to the iPhone. So in about 7 days, you can expect an iOS 7 review. We can do another one of those Apple versus Android type videos, considering it's one of my most popular videos on this channel, considering this is a PC channel, with nearly 500,000 views on that on my iPhone video. So guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. Thanks for listening. Sorry for this long rambling rant video about iPhones and Apples and stuff. We'll get back to your regularly scheduled PC biased opinions next time. Take care. This can't be right. Where am I?
Okay, here's Lansing.
I'm not in Lansing! You can't make this up. That just happened right now. That just happened. I'm not in Michigan. I'm in California.